I decided from that day forward, if I ever got my together, he would never beat me again, ever.
I met a gypsy.
So we've talked about how high the level is in 2023. What do you think? Obviously, you've been in the 450s for a long time. You've been in the sport for a long time. Why is it just elevating and elevating? Like, what are the things that we don't see as fans that are adding up to this ridiculous level of Supercross?
My personal opinion on it is, I think you got to look back at, every generation and pull from maybe every decade of, I think, at least from my time, like when I look at Ricky, he was incredibly fast, incredibly consistent, but I feel like he brought the fitness into the sport. He brought the gnarly work ethic, and just you had to dedicate your life to it. And then I look at James Stewart, and he was the one that brought just sheer speed and skill and doing incredible things on a dirt bike. And then I feel like RV kind of brought the mix of that. Like, hey, you had to have fitness, you also had to have pure speed, but then now you have to be really consistent. And I think Dunge took that to a next level later when RV retired. So when I look at all those guys and all the different things they brought, and I look at us now, we're all extremely fit. We're all extremely fast and have, some guys might have a little more skill than the other, but we're within, in my opinion, 5% speed-wise, and we're all consistent to an extent, like that's bred into us, and we know that's what you have to do. And then I think now the other thing is all the teams and all the manufacturers are good bikes. I think maybe not in the last 10 years, but before there was always, in my opinion, the 2 to 3 that were like, hey, these are the better teams, these are the bikes to be on, and this is where you need to be if you want to be successful. Where I look at the paddock now, and there's every bike brand and every team under the 450s you can win on, and they're investing millions and millions into their program and their motorcycles. So I think that, personally, I think is where it's gotten to, where it's now all about comfort. We're such in a window of having to have all those things, but we all have those things. So what separates us? And that's where I believe every track is a little different. It might suit one guy a little bit more, but overall, you have to have a comfortability, whether it's with your motorcycle or with you or with your program or whatever it is. And I think that's what's gotten us to this level. And it's going to get, in my opinion, closer and closer and slimmer, and as it even progresses more as far as our lap times. And like I said before, with our video access, if someone does an obstacle, we know within minutes, to where maybe that wasn't the case back in the day. If James did something or Ricky did something, you'd have to be like, follow the guy to see it, or like, hey, did anyone happen to see it? And no, it wasn't the case. Like, that's just kind of the world we're in right now. And there is no secrets. Like, I think everyone pretty much knows what everyone does, and it maybe wasn't like that in the past, where everyone had their individual programs that might work better for them or this or that. And so yeah, it really is crazy. And I think the other thing, for whatever reason, is the guys, we're racing into our 30s now. And I think at least Ricky, James, Dunge, and RV, like, I can speak for those four alone. They maybe stopped, a little shy of what the top 5 besides myself and Chase age-wise are at right now. So just a mixture, but that's what I think.
Yeah, the age thing, I'm a massive fan of it. Like, it was, I was running yesterday, and I was watching the great outdoors of Ricky's last season, and he won pretty much all the way up until Redbud, and then dipped out, and then James got hurt at Washougal, and it's like, he could have had another chance. Like, if he just stuck around for another, 7 races, he would have had like another
Yeah.
championship. But to think about one of you guys nowadays retiring at 27, it would just seem like crazy. There's so much proof of what you guys can do, kind of like going into your 30s, and even for me, like as like I'm 35 now, I think, yeah, something like that. But it's like I'm literally just getting better. Like the last, I guess, I reckon since like 31, 32 is when I physically started to even feel a bit better. Or I'd say like that's probably like getting more into like my physical peak. So yeah, I think that's a massive thing too. Like the years of experience and knowledge and just like bike time and program, like you said, dialing everything in like longer into your career, that even just has to add up to kind of like lifting the level too, right? Because like Eli hasn't slowed down, you haven't slowed down, like Kenny's won a race this year. I mean, and that's all dudes that are, dude, Barsha is probably having one of the best seasons of his life.
Yeah. Yeah, like you said, I think it is now me know I'm 27, so knowing where I'm at right now, it would be extremely weird stepping away. But I see both sides. I really do.
Yeah,
I'm with Eldon day in and day out, and um, those guys for sure had so much pressure to win. And I think, like myself, I'm addicted to winning. So if it's almost easier just to go out on top, and not have maybe those anxieties or those like sleepless nights
yeah,
afterwards. And I mean, honestly, like for me, if I don't have a horrible year like I did last year, say I had another great year, I might not keep going, because I do think it comes to a point where you
yeah,
win so many races, you've made all this money, you've met your wife, and maybe you want to have a family, and there is so much sacrifice. Like, you're on the grind 24/7, 7 days a week. There is no, hey, I'm going to have a cheat meal or crack a beer or whatever. You're grinding every single day, and it's not fun, to be honest. Like, as far as, hey, I'm going to enjoy what I do. Like, some people can say they enjoy it, but I think like for me, I enjoy the racing and the competing. I
yeah.
hate the work and what it takes, but I think that's where maybe for those guys it got to, and once that happens, I understand where that decision is. But from a physical standpoint, it is absurd, that maybe you're leaving millions and millions of dollars on the table and more accomplishments, and knowing how I feel at 27 and just the experience I have, what that does bring to me on race day. So I couldn't imagine. Like, I still feel like I have plenty of years left, and I really want to be the best version of myself that I can. But I mean, for most of those guys, I think they went through the same program, they rode the same teams, they rode the same tracks, and it definitely does get to be a grind and tiring at times, no doubt.
Yeah, then you play that other side, and I'm like fully just speaking as a fan, saying that you guys shouldn't retire, because when you do lay it out like in that way, it's like the other side of the coin is you've made millions of dollars and you've got your health, you've got a family, you've got kids, like you kind of earned that break in a sense, or you've like kind of
Yeah.
earned that retirement. So it's like, yeah, you make a valid point. I'm speaking literally just as a fan.
Yeah, and I think even right now, like hearing on opening ceremonies with Eli, like he's by far the biggest fan favorite, and I think it's simply just from him being out there still, and him being the face of our sport now for in the 450 class over 10 years, and I do think from a fan's perspective, um, once you've seen a guy, whether you like him or not, he's just been around for forever and doing it, you become a fan. I mean, look at Chad Reed's a perfect example of how big of a fan favorite he simply was, just because of obviously being a great racer and champion, but he was there every season, and at least in the fight and in the hunt, and I think fans do appreciate that. And um, from our sport being relatively small, there being a familiar face within all those time periods is important too.
We're excited to announce the launch of our new membership site, gypsytales.com, packed with exclusive content and perks that you won't find anywhere else. This is your chance to become a part of the Gypsy Gang. And as a special bonus, if you sign up to an annual membership, you'll be entered into the draw to win our custom-built TC125. Gypsy Gang.